cancellation. Conservatives are still allowed to exist so long as we're in a silo, so long as we're never allowed to use the left's toys, even the centre's toys. So the moment that any conservative comes close to the media or increasingly parts of the cultural world that are deemed to be part of the left, they are treated with the full force of the mob. What is striking, and the cases you just gave examples of it, is that what is happening is increasingly figures who we would have just called liberals. I know that liberals is a very shape-shifting term in all of our countries, but in the classical sense, liberals, people who believed in tolerance, toleration, and much more, are the people who are coming in for this. So people who are not, right-wingers, not conservative people, as you say, like J.K. Rowling, who just hold on to principles which were always deemed to be of the left. But in the shifting arena we're now all in, there are certain issues which, if you touch them, effectively throw you right onto the completely appalling, unmentionable conservative side. And those are the ones, briefly, that I mention in each chapter in The Madness of Crowds, which are you can see by now there are specific issues which will get you into this trouble. The tripwires of our time, as I say, they're everything to do with sex, everything to do with gender, everything to do with sexuality, everything to do with race. The Jessica Mulroney example you give is particularly pertinent because this is not actually somebody being criticised for what they've said, somebody being criticised for what they haven't said, for their silence. And here we get into proper, soft totalitarian territory, where in democracies where we're meant to have the freedom to speak and to exchange ideas, the moment you not only get destroyed for voicing your ideas, but for not saying the thing that you are demanded to say that day, not jumping to the height you're expected to jump, through the hoop you're expected to jump through, that is an incredibly unpleasant and ugly turn of this. And so, yes, these phenomena are real. And I think, apart from anything else, increasingly, everybody in business in the developed world knows this as well. Increasingly, businesses, corporations have to play by these rules. We saw an example recently where a senior figure at KPMG made a reference in passing to the fact that he thought unconscious bias training was a bit of a crock. I think he was too kind about unconscious bias training. But anyway, he just mentioned this to his colleagues. Bang, he's out of a job within 24 hours. So we're not just talking about, the odd scientist here, the odd celebrity influencer here. We're talking about the fact that increasingly in all realms of life, including the business world, which so many people from the outside mistakenly think to be conservative, even in the business world, you have people effectively having to silence themselves or say only the approved things in order to continue working.
So here's, I guess, the thing someone would say is looking at your career, you say very provocative things, have written 2 very provocative books, and you're still associate editor for The Spectator. So that is given as evidence that cancel culture can't be all that bad.
Well, there are several things about that. I don't particularly like to talk about myself because I'm British. But my own experience is slightly unusual in that I don't care. Now, this is a very important factor. First of all, I don't care about the critics. And secondly, and I say this with a slight trepidation, but I think it's honest, they don't seem to be able to get me. And the reason why is because I do not have weak and cowardly bosses above me. This is very, very important because the thing that's made the cancel culture problem so rife is the fact that what is attempted every time to really cancel something, you have to go to the level above them. You have to go to their editor in media terms. That's the case with the New York Times. So quite a number of employees now have had to leave the Times for completely fallacious, erroneous reasons, but it's because the heads of the New York Times are cowardly and very easily intimidated weaklings, in my view. They don't have the confidence even to believe in the free media. It's a very sad situation. But that's why those employees are vulnerable. The problem with KPMG is the people above that person are vulnerable. When a supermarket worker in the UK posted a Billy Connolly video that mentioned Islam and was fired from his position for sharing this video on his own Facebook page, the Asda supermarket bosses fired him. Why? Because they were cowardly.
Hmm.
So whether it's a supermarket worker or a writer or editor of the New York Times, doesn't matter. If you have people above you who can effectively sit on you from this pressure, then that's where you're vulnerable. I'm really answerable to no one. In a way, I'm answerable to my readers, who I hope to inform and entertain and much more. But I don't have a thing above me that is wobbly and weak to that extent.
Can you sort of address one other aspect of that, though?
We will make America great again.